Hello everyone, I'm very happy to welcome you here for this virtual session of the ITSC 2021. My name is Florian Wirtmüller and today I will talk about our article entitled The Atlas of Lane Changes, Investigating Location-Dependent Lane Change Behaviors Using Measurement Data from a Customer Fleet. The article is joint work with my co-authors Jochen Hipp, Christian Reichenbecher and Manfred Reichert. So let's take a look at today's agenda. First of all, I will give you a short motivation. What means Atlas of Lane Changes and for what purpose do we need it? Afterwards, we will take a look at the proposed approach and the analysis which we enabled with it. And at the end, I will summarize the work and give an outlook on future research. So what's our general motivation? First of all, we would like to support behavior predictions of surrounding traffic participants in automated driving applications using location-specific knowledge. Since when we are looking into related literature, all current approaches are focusing on predicting surrounding traffic participants' behavior purely based on the current traffic situation. Thus, we wanted to know what role location-specific factors such as slope or curvature play for the behavior prediction, and to answer the question if they can be neglected as of now or if they have to be taken into account. Thus, here comes how we try to answer that question. To do so, we first of all collected data from our fleet of customers who gave us their consent. The vehicles are wirelessly connected to our backend server and send from time to time 200-second long snippets. These snippets contain the distances to the lane markings, which we are using to detect lane changes, as well as the GNSS coordinate, which enable us to localize the data. Thereby, I have to mention that all transmitted data are anonymized and encrypted all the time. And now, after collecting the data, we are labeling each sample using a strategy we adapted from previous work. In the original work, we worked towards the construction of a maneuver classifier. And the general idea of the labeling is shown here. In our definition, the point of time when the vehicle crosses the lane marking is the actual point of time of the lane change. Each data point lying within our defined prediction horizon, which is here set to 5 seconds, ahead of that moment belongs then to the lane change maneuver and gets labeled accordingly. Each other sample is per default labeled as lane following. Thereby, I should mention that our data are transformed to an equidistant time representation with a 50 millisecond spacing. So our measurements are better represented using single points than one line, as we can see here. Note that this visualization is rather illustrative than realistic. But as we can see here, the underlying trajectory is now represented by 2 lane following samples, followed by 7 lane change to the left and another 7 lane following samples in this example. And now this helps us to understand the next step, which is called map matching. And what we are doing here is absolutely straightforward. Each sample gets now matched based on its GNSS information to the closest link of a digital map. Links are one form of representing parts of a digital map and can be considered as a sequence of GNSS points. In our case, we are using maps where each link has a length of 200 meters. This map matching yields now 2 things. First of all, we are able to count the frequency of each maneuver class at each link. And in this case, in the case of this single measurement here, we would now have 3 links with samples. The first one, which we can see here, has now 5 lane change to the left, 2 lane followings, and 0 lane change to the right samples, and so on. And as we now have a large amount of measurements at each location, we are thus able to calculate location, or one should better say link-specific lane change probabilities. In addition, we are we are calling these probabilities a priori probabilities, as they are for the moment, disregarding the traffic situation the respective vehicles are facing. But these effects can be averaged over the large amount of used single measurements. So this is not really an issue. And now we have this. We have the second reason for map matching. Each of the links has several properties like curvature, slope, or speed limit. This maneuver probabilities per link, and these properties together facilitate now several interesting investigations. And I will now present some of them to you. So here we are now. First of all, I would like to show you a rough overview on our constructed lane change probability map. What you can see here is the highway between Stuttgart and Ulm in Germany. The links of the map are colored in shades of red according to the estimated lane following probability now. Thereby, dark red symbolizes large and white symbolizes small probabilities. As in the overview plot, different links overlap each other a little bit, we decided to draw the links according to descending probabilities. And thus, larger areas being colored homogeneously indicate the most interesting locations. So the first interesting example I would like to take a closer look on the view is located at the interchange Stuttgart. As can be seen, the links here are colored in very light colors. This is indicating large probabilities for changing the lanes, what is not very surprising at an interchange. On this slide here now, we see a few more details. The upper part of the figure shows a merger, whereas the lower one shows a divider, both also at the interchange Stuttgart. As can be seen, the probability to follow the current lane drops after mergers as well as ahead of dividers. So now an analysis that is maybe a bit more of interest to you is shown on this slide. The plot shows the median lane following probability against the bend, which is an equivalent to the curvature of a link. From the figure, one can conclude that larger bends result in larger lane following probabilities. Accordingly, curves seem to discourage drivers from changing lanes. However, note that the observable differences are rather small considering absolute values. And another interesting location that gathered our interest due to large, significantly dark colored areas is emphasized here. The location is known as Drakensteiner Hang and constitutes an approximately 6 kilometer long inclination with a quite constant slope around 5%. Due to the particular topology of this area, the roads for the two directions are not running in parallel. As can be seen, the road course at this location is not only very steep, but it is also hard to overlook. And the road markings are very narrow. So our lane change investigations now reveal that exactly at that location, hardly any lane changes have been performed. Inspired by that location, we developed the idea that to analyze the slope per link in an equivalent manner to the curves. And exactly that is shown here. Our initial expectation now was that very steep parts of a road lead to lane change dampening effects, similar to what we saw previously for large curvature values. But interestingly, that effect couldn't be proved. Explanations for this phenomenon may be manifold, but obviously several effects are superimposing each other, and this plays here an important role. An example that substantiates this can be found in our full article. And now I would like to summarize the work. Within this article, we presented the development of a lane change probability map using customer vehicle measurements. Based on that, we investigated and discussed the effects of 3 location-dependent conditions on the lane change behavior thoroughly. These investigations show that highway mergers and dividers tend to foster the likelihood of lane changes, whereas curved roads tend to have lane change dampening effects. The effects of slopes are inconclusive. Furthermore, our investigations reveal that especially the superposition of several factors makes it hard to estimate location-specific lane change probabilities using simple models. These thus suggest constructing and maintaining such a lane change map dynamically. Our next step will be to provide and integrate this information about the constructed lane change probability map to onboard motion prediction modules in order to enhance their prediction accuracy. Besides, we are working towards increasing the amount of data in order to enable more advanced analytics. And at this point, I would like to thank you for your attention. And I'm looking forward now to your questions that you could either ask in the following conference session or write me via mail or LinkedIn. Besides, I would like to mention that this and more of my conference talks can be found on YouTube. Thank you very much.